In this video, we will talk about position of India in World Economic Outlook report of International Monetary Fund. The World Economic Outlook report of IMF gives projections in India based on available information on authorities' fiscal plans with adjustments for IMF staff's assumptions. General government data covers only central and state governments. State government data is incorporated with lag of up to 1 year. General government data are thus finalized well after central government data. IMF and Indian presentations differ, particularly with regard to disinvestment and license auction proceeds, net versus gross recording of revenues in certain minor categories, and some public sector lending. Starting with financial year 2020-2021 data, expenditure also includes the off-budget component of food subsidies consistent with the revised treatment of food subsidies in the budget. The IMF staff adjusts expenditure to take out payments for previous year food subsidies, which are included as expenditure in budget estimates for financial year 2020-2021. For India, the growth outlook is relatively more stable at 6.2% in 2025, supported by private consumption particularly in rural areas, but this rate is 0.3 percentage point lower than that in the January 2025 World Economic Outlook update on account of higher levels of trade tensions and global uncertainty. The harshest sanctions on Russia to date, imposed on January 10, 2025, have not materially disrupted oil flows. The Russian oil exported primarily to China and India had traded at a $5 to $15 discount to Brent. The rice prices fell 26% as crop conditions improved in India and other parts of Asia. Worldwide electricity consumption from data centers and AI is estimated to have reached 400 to 500 terawatt hours in 2023, more than double the level in 2015 OPEC 2024. For the United States, where growth was the fastest, electricity demand for data centers is expected to increase from 178 terawatt hours in 2024 to 606 terawatt hours in 2030 under a medium demand scenario. By 2030, AI driven global electricity consumption could hit 1500 terawatt hours, conceivably making its level comparable to that of India's current total electricity consumption, the third highest in the world. The chapter on model employs an extension of global overlapping generations model in Ockler and others to assess general equilibrium implications of demographic forces for individual economies and globally. The model includes 21 advanced economies, 4 emerging market economies, including China and India, which together account for almost 50% of emerging market economies' GDP, and a bloc economy comprising 44 low income countries expected to pass their demographic turning points after 2040. Altogether, the model accounts for about two-thirds of world economy and population. The model assumes that the integration of China, India, and LIC bloc into global capital markets is imperfect. This results in a wedge between domestic and global interest rates for these economies that is assumed to decline gradually as they undertake credit and capital market reforms, continue strengthening governance and institutions, and become increasingly integrated in global financial markets. Initial values for effective retirement rates, labor taxes, retirement replacement rates, and other public spending are calibrated to match country specific targets in the data. In the baseline, effective retirement ages are assumed to increase by 1 month per year over 60 years in all countries except for India and the LIC bloc, where they are assumed unchanged. India, with its relatively favorable near term demographics, is projected to experience a smaller growth decline in 2025 to 2050 of about 0.7 percentage points, but the decline will intensify over 2050 to 2100 as the country passes its demographic turning point. The interest growth differential RG projected for the next 25 years is higher than the 2016 to 2018 average for all economies except India and LIC bloc, meaning that all else equal, a higher primary balance would be needed to keep debt ratios stable. Average RG for the world is projected to be 1 percentage point higher in 2025 to 2050 than in 2016 to 2018, moderating to about 0.5 percentage points towards the end of the century as population aging increases global savings relative to investment demand everywhere. The uneven demographic trends would influence direction of future capital flows and contribute to divergent net foreign asset positions across the world over the long run. Large emerging market economies like China and India would accumulate foreign assets, especially over 2050 to 2100, whereas many advanced economies would gradually draw down foreign assets through projection horizon. Among countries in the model, average contribution of demographic forces to GDP growth in 2025 to 2100 ranges from close to minus 2.8 percentage points in India to zero point 0.4 percentage points in Finland and Slovenia in negative. Average annual GDP growth for world economy would be zero point 0.1 percentage point per year higher than in the baseline over 2025 to 2100, and difference would be even larger at zero point 0.3 percentage point over 2025 to 2050, with a gap with a particularly large boost in India given its current large gender gaps. Boost to global growth would be even larger at about zero point 0.6 percentage points over 2025 to 2050, offsetting close to three-fourths of the drag from demographics during that period. Some countries, notably India, low income countries, and some European economies could reap even higher growth dividends. Model simulations indicate that five model economies, Greece, India, Italy, Spain, and the LIC bloc, would see some fiscal respite from lower RG over 2025 to 50, reinforcing direct benefits of labor policies on primary balances. AI based solutions in healthcare hold potential for transformation through scaling up of preventive health practices, for instance, by automating routine tasks such as screening and diagnostics. They can bring clinical expertise to undeserved and remote areas, helping to reduce heterogeneity in physical and cognitive capabilities of older individuals. For example, Arvind Eye Care System in India has deployed AI based tools to screen millions of retinal images of diabetic retinopathy, effectively addressing country's shortage of ophthalmologists and preventing vision loss among patients.